Her new figure was accentuated by a white dress that grazed her knees. Reporters, photographers, and social media users were all in on the action. Glamorous journalist, best-selling author, CBS Mornings co-anchor, and Oprah's best friend Gayle King was among the many famous faces in attendance at an opening in New York City. A touching documentary chronicling Celine Dion's battle with a rare neurological disease was screened during the event. As Gayle posed for pictures, her admirers weren't merely gushing over the film or her stunning ensemble. Someone else they were talking about piqued curiosity. Gayle had shed a significant amount of weight. Without a doubt, she appeared stunning. She had flawless makeup, radiant skin, golden heels that glistened, and gently tousled waves in her hair. There was a noticeable difference in the online conversation. Is it out of the ordinary? Was it the same weight loss pill that Oprah's best friend recently confessed to taking? Nobody had heard anything from Gayle regarding the reports, but that only served to pique their interest. Her silence was peculiar and concerning for someone who had been so forthright and honest about everything from politics to pain for decades. More and more people started to notice. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition featured her recently when she was 69 years old. Rather than posing in skimpy swimsuits for stunning magazine pages, most announcers at that age considered slowing down. The photo shoot was mocked by Gayle, who joked about eating a hamburger before the shoot and asked for appropriate cleavage. However, she remained mum on the subject of why this shift occurred suddenly. It was mentioned that she exercised 5 or 6 times weekly. She appeared to be in better health than before. However, some individuals were unsure because they experienced a distinct change in their bodily and mental states. Beyond the confident grin and upbeat voice, there was something more subtle and intimate. Mental health was the next topic she covered. It is critical to discuss mental health on a daily basis, not merely during Mental Health Awareness Month, as Gayle wrote in a deeply personal essay she wrote in May 2022. She broached the topics of death, loss, and the fact that a pretty face is no guarantee of happiness. Particularly heartbreaking was the way she reflected on the death of Cheslie Kryst. Despite appearing to have everything she needed, former Miss USA Cheslie took her own life. "Mom, you didn't do anything wrong. You did a fantastic job." That was the most memorable part of the story, according to Gayle, who recounted it to Cheslie's mother. "You could tell it hurt Gayle when she told you. Something snapped in her." According to her, people can still be in pain even when they're happy. It is difficult to discuss the type of pain that threatens to break any of us, and we are all just one bad moment away from breaking. It was unusual for someone who was always smiling on TV to be so forthright. A lot of people began to question whether Gayle was secretly going through something tough. In the same year, she broke the news that her longtime friend Oprah had been hospitalized due to a severe stomach illness that had left her extremely parched. Speaking to the audience, Gayle expressed her hope that Oprah would not be upset with her for disclosing such a personal story. What her fans didn't hear her say aloud was how nervous she appeared while speaking, as if the topic of health had suddenly taken on a more serious tone than anyone was aware. Gayle started skipping things not long after that. When she wasn't working, fewer people paid attention to her. It was more noticeable that she had changed her appearance when she finally showed up. Her fitness and compliance with company policy earned her the admiration of her CBS coworkers. Instead of taking it personally, she joked about exercising, staying hydrated, and Weight Watchers. However, those familiar with her could discern yet another change by the beginning of 2024. On air, she seemed to think more slowly and with a deeper voice. She recounted an experience in which she worried that people might be too embarrassed to discuss their suffering in public. She didn't explicitly state that she was struggling, but her tone conveyed that message. Rumors started circulating behind the scenes about this time. People who worked with her, rather than fans or the press, spread these rumors. Observers paused more frequently between her parts, walked more slowly on occasion, and moaned whenever she stood up. Then a change occurred that altered everything. She took a brief vacation from CBS mornings, which was unusual for her. Despite claims to the contrary by show employees, the network insisted that the time was indeed scheduled. The director mentioned that a few days prior she had broken down during a commercial break. Someone else mentioned that Gayle was not yet prepared to share some shocking medical news with the public after recently learning it. Despite the volume, Gayle and the network remained remarkably silent. She returned to the show with a new attitude. Despite her best efforts, even her most devoted admirers could see that grin was masking something. Then the unexpected happened. She had to reevaluate her whole lifestyle, including her schedule, food, and future after being diagnosed with a severe but mysterious illness, according to her loved ones. She paused to consider whether she still had the stamina to continue working at the same level she had for so long after that. On the other hand, Gayle King wasn't handling anything alone. Oprah Winfrey had been a constant presence for nearly half a century, supporting her in every major professional and personal decision as well as in every interview that went viral and public rumor. Before either of them became famous, they met on the local news. At media galas and red carpet events, their friendship did not flourish. In 1976, Gayle was a young production assistant at Baltimore's WJZ-TV. Behind the scenes, she oversaw lines and did a variety of other tasks. Oprah Winfrey was already a sensation at the same station when she was just a few years her junior. One of the most well-known friendships in television history started in that small office in Baltimore. They became close from the start, not because of their fame or the attention they received, but because of the late-night conversations, snowstorms, sleepovers, and mutual respect that they shared. Gayle honed her reporting skills at WUSA-TV in the nation's capital. Oprah's career skyrocketed after she hosted The Oprah Winfrey Show in Chicago, catapulting her to host newscasts in Hartford and Kansas City. Once The Oprah magazine was launched in 1999, Gayle became Oprah's editor. Talk show host Gayle's run on OWN ended in 2011. Upon her transition to CBS's national morning television, Oprah was by her side. Throughout their time together, they accomplished more than just their jobs. Additionally, they supported each other through divorce, shielded each other from public criticism, and shared in the pain of profound personal tragedies. Kirby and Will, Gayle's children, considered Oprah a second mother. And even when Oprah wasn't in the spotlight, Gayle was there for her. However, anything could have been considered by anyone. While some of the inquiries were fair, others were not. How close were they beyond friendship? Was anything else missing? Oprah brought it up head-on in a 2010 interview with Barbara Walters. She spoke highly of Gayle, describing her as the ideal friend and sister figure. The same question came up again in 2024, but this time the two women shrugged it off with the same self-assurance that had always defined them. Acknowledgement or names weren't necessary. Despite their differences, they were friends due to the trust they shared. After Gayle's shocking rapid weight loss in 2024, fans began talking about OIC and other Hollywood quick fixes. Whether it was a health issue, a change in routine, or an entirely new reality, few people were privy to the truth behind the spotless CBS desk. Gayle also preferred not to be consoled. She was in need of someone to listen, assistance, and time, and Oprah provided all three. They continued to attend galas side by side, walk the red carpet together, and complete each other's sentences during interviews. At this moment, though, things were different. Oprah seemed to be protecting Gayle from the guilt that was in her words. Oprah was extremely thirsty and had to visit the emergency room in June 2024 due to a stomach bug, and Gayle was the one who broke the news to everyone. cautioning Oprah that it was serious, she needed to rest, and that it terrified her she did it slowly and honestly. Witnesses recognized it for what it was, a friend witnessing another friend's terrible and vulnerable experience. However, Gayle wasn't merely referring to Oprah. Most people failed to notice this. Both of them were being discussed by her. Everything shifted at that moment. A very important matter pertaining to Gayle's health and her future at CBS was being discreetly handled by her while Oprah was in the emergency room. Concurrently, the network made a contentious decision. CBS Mornings relocated from its posh Times Square station to a less posh one on Manhattan's West Side. Most reporters probably just needed a change of scenery. It was as if someone had punched Gayle in the face. By signing a one-year extension, she resolved to remain for another challenging season of network changes and company budget cuts. But nobody had informed her about the decline. Having spent years creating her posh office into a sanctuary where she could concentrate without interruption, she finally got some work done. To her surprise, no one had warned her that it would be taken away. After everything she had done for CBS and for the network to remain united in the face of scandals, reorganizations, and national tragedies, she was furious that no one had informed her. No, she wasn't acting in a self-centered manner. Whispered assurances that she would not be neglected or ignored were her words to them. Every single inch of that room belonged to her. Not everyone was like her. Oprah was rooting for her. According to those close to the two women, Gayle made it plain to CBS that they needed to treat her like the superstar that she was, rather than as a cost center or filler. Oprah was also there for her. It wasn't merely their shared history that had kept their friendship strong. Additionally, it constituted their way of life. Oprah frequently remarked that Gayle took more pride in her achievements than in her own. Oprah was the most generous person Gayle had ever encountered, according to Gayle. When Gayle launched her own network, she became Oprah's assistant. Oprah was there to cheer Gayle on when she needed space to develop at CBS. Despite decades of speculation about their relationship, they remained unchanged. Humorously correcting the record, they informed everyone that genuine friendship does not necessitate a response. Oprah remained steadfast even when faced with adversity, such as when Charlie Rose, Gayle's former co-anchor, was embroiled in a scandal, or when her discussion of Kobe Bryant's impact with Lisa Leslie was met with criticism. She remained motionless even though others leapt. With grace, humor, and the kind of work ethic that propelled her to the pinnacle of her field for decades, Gayle demonstrated her gratitude. Things had changed, though. Oprah had hinted that she might take it easy. This idea occurred to Gayle as well. The effects, remaining time, and moments that mattered most were all brought to light when someone was sick, not only the pain or illness itself. No longer could Gayle run from the truth. It didn't matter if she wore gold shoes and a designer purse or smiled at the news. Something was being communicated to her by her body. A bright future awaited her. She was faced with the difficult decision of whether to step back from her career at CBS or to start over, free from the constraints of schedules, ratings, and morning call times. CBS obstructed the decision-making process. Even so, its viewership lagged behind that of ABC and NBC. Executives were rushing to cut $500 million, 0 cents in costs, and the press was in an unprecedented state of despair, fearing for their safety and not knowing who would be next. Coworkers discussed in hushed tones the possibility of leaving. Nevertheless, despite everything, Gayle King managed to remain in the spotlight, not due to yet another exclusive interview or a tragic incident, but to something that nobody anticipated. It took place in real time during a lighthearted episode featuring podcasting superstar Alex Cooper. Caller Daddy was famous for Cooper's uncomfortable and sometimes tough questioning of guests. In contrast, Gayle, who is renowned for her interest and self-assurance, opted to do the inverse. Her sexually suggestive question regarding Cooper's marriage shocked the entire cast. Because it was such a random question, even the producers attempted to listen in through the headphones. However, Gayle wasn't merely causing trouble, she actually had something important to say. She aimed to demonstrate that these instances could be understood by others because they were genuine, courageous, and surprising. Plus, she reminded the network of her immense reach at that very moment. Flowing effortlessly from serious political discourse to humorous small talk, Gayle exhibited remarkable rhythmic agility. It wasn't an accident, that was a deliberate move with Cooper. Her ability to create critically acclaimed television series was on full display once again. Despite her light-hearted demeanor, significant events were unfolding in the background. Morning still found Gayle in front of her audience, but she was also preparing for an adventure unlike any she had ever experienced. This spring, Gayle King will be a part of Blue Origin's inaugural all-female space mission. Yes, she is donning a costume with the 70-year-old director Karen Flynn, Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, Aisha, Amanda Anyan, and Miranda Lambert. The NS-31 project will venture into actual space, surpassing the Kármán line, which is 62 miles above Earth's surface. While ascending at a speed greater than the speed of sound, they will remove their seats and float weightlessly for a few minutes before returning. The significance of this flight is immeasurable. No all-female team has attempted anything as daring since 1963, when Valentina Tereshkova flew solo. For Gayle, this is about much more than simply reaching a scientific milestone. It's personal. After decades of reporting news from every corner of the globe, she finally gets to witness something that few have ever witnessed. She's transitioning from narrating history to embodying it. Beyond her time in space, Gayle has had a rich and varied life. There have been many joyous occasions in her personal life as well. William Bumpus Jr., her 37-year-old son, tied the knot with Elise Smith a few months ago in an unforgettable ceremony. The venue was the home of Oprah Winfrey. As the only child in her family, Gayle has always referred to Will as her best son. Regarding her new daughter-in-law, she is likewise extremely pleased. For the happy couple, the wedding was a monumental occasion. Every month on the 2nd, they met, and on the 2nd of June, they were married. As images appeared on the screen, Gayle joyfully recounted the entire story live on air. Naturally, Oprah was the event's focal point. While making fun of Gayle's ridiculously cheap venue prices, she graciously offered her home for the wedding. Gayle was deeply moved by her son's words, "I know the man I am, but with you, I know the man I want to be," and by the promises he made. It gave her the willies, she said, to watch her children start families of their own while she continued to explore other parts of her life. It gave her a great sense of well-being. Despite the positive aspects of Gayle's career, family, and impending space experiences, a shadow remained over her future. Something was different. Though few people knew about her diagnosis earlier this year, it altered her perspective. This illness, along with CBS's unpredictability and her wish to devote more time to her expanding family, forced her to reconsider her role in the realm of daily broadcasting. She may not be quitting the media altogether, but she may be sick of the same old routine, the constant pressure to perform, and the results that weren't even her fault. When they first began, people were hesitant to believe the rumors. When will Gayle King depart? It just isn't feasible. For over a decade, she has been there, a voice that could address world leaders one day and pop stars the next. She is the voice of reason amidst chaos. But Gayle says farewell in her own special way, with poise, conviction, and precision. She's not disappearing from the spotlight, she's merely evolving. She accomplished a great deal, including answering one of the difficult questions for herself, becoming a mother-in-law, a space traveler, and a news anchor. Now that she's here, what are her life goals? A life where she is healthy, present, and adventurous. less chaos and more purpose in life. A day that doesn't have to begin at the crack of dawn, but nevertheless impacts many. Being prepared to float through space, laugh with her daughter-in-law, enjoy her son's big achievement, and maybe end the chapter on CBS Mornings, Gayle is showing everyone that starting over isn't a setback, it's the prize. That could be the essence of this very moment. Perhaps she isn't leaving behind anything broken because she has chosen to say goodbye. It may be about embracing a new chapter that allows her to breathe, one that is larger, lighter, and more expansive.